There are 7 things you have to physically stand in the backyard of any Treasure Valley house and notice before you write an offer. And your inspector will not catch them, and your buyer's agent probably won't either. If you skip them, you spend the next 10 years explaining to your spouse why the dream house has a problem nobody told you to look for on day 1. I'm Rachel with Good News Realty Group. I'm an agent right here in the Treasure Valley, and this is what my team and I call the backyard audit. Here is the honest truth. I have a commission on the line every time someone buys. I could let you close, collect my check, and just move on. However, I won't. I will choose to lose a deal over a test I ran before I let a buyer close on a house they are going to regret. I have watched buyers working with other agents. They close on a beautiful house, say in Cuna in March. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful price, great subdivision. They do all the things right, have the inspection, then they close. They move in May and September comes. The backyard fills up with irrigation flies for weeks straight. Now, those Cuna buyers probably had a map of the subdivision. They did not have a map of the fly zones, the smoke pockets, or the sound lines. So my team and I built one. It's called the Red Zone Map, and it's absolutely free. The link is in the description. It's going to plot the flood zones, fire zones, inversion pockets, the smell zones, and we're going to talk about all of that, and it's all in one interactive map. Pull it up the night before you go tour homes. Overlay your short list, then run these 7 tests while you're on the ground. I simply won't let you walk into a showing blind. And heads up, the first test is the one almost nobody actually runs. So here's the first one. Google Maps is lying to you at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. It is lying to you all weekend long. The only time you should be driving your potential commute is 8 a.m. on a Tuesday or 5 p.m. on a Thursday. And here is why. If the house is anywhere near Eagle Road, Star, Highway 16, Chinden, or Linder, the streets outside will look empty at 10. But at 8, the morning commute is stacked up, and at 5, it's gonna stack up again. If you're touring a home on a Saturday morning and tell yourself, "Ma'am, this traffic is great," you will move in and discover the street becomes a parking lot for 45 minutes every weekday. You didn't just buy a house, you bought a daily traffic jam in your driveway. Here is the test. Drive the exact street the house is on. Drive it twice, once at 8 on a Tuesday and again once at 5 on a Thursday. If you can't be there in person, ask your agent to do a drive-through video for you on those specific days. If they won't, well, that's some information as well. And here's the thing, traffic you can see, however, this next one you cannot. The Treasure Valley sits in a bowl. When wildfire smoke rolls in, and it will, mostly in our late summer months, it gets trapped in the bowl. Cold air stuck at the bottom and warm air sitting on top like a lid. And we call that an inversion. That is just a regular late summer here. But here is what most buyers miss. Not every address in the valley breathes the same air. If the house sits in a low-lying section, parts of Garden City, parts of downtown Boise near the river, and parts of South Nampa, the smoke sits on your yard. It just is there longer and it's thicker, and you have the potential of more days of it. So here is the native secret. Homes up in the foothills can sit above the inversion layer. The air typically clears faster up there. A house in the bowl, it's still socked in when the house up on the hill is breathing. That is why elevation matters. And an IMLS listing will never tell you where the inversion line falls. So here is the test. Pull up that red zone map. Check the inversion overlay for the specific addresses you are considering. If the house sits in the bottom of the bowl, just go in with eyes wide open. Buy an air purifier before you close. Plan for a couple of weeks a year where it's probably not best to open your windows. The air can be handled once and forgotten. However, water is a bill every month, and nobody asks the one question that changes that number. There is one question to ask before you even tour a home. Where does the sprinkler water come from? The answer is either city water or irrigation district water. Those are not the same thing, and the difference will show up on your monthly bill. If the sprinklers run on city water, you pay for every drop on your monthly utility bill. Now, a decent sized Treasure Valley lot on city water can add a couple $100s or more to a hot summer month. If the sprinklers run on irrigation district water, you pay an annual irrigation fee, usually $100 to $200 a year, and the rest of your summer water is included. But buyers close without asking, so they find out in July when the bill hits. Here is the test. Before you write the offer, ask the listing agent. If the answer is, I don't know, or I'll find out, well, that's some information. Some subdivisions have half the homes on irrigation and half on city water. It's the same street, but you're gonna see different bills. Some have turnout boxes that were supposed to be hooked up decades ago and never got hooked up. My advice is never assume. This is the kind of detail that should be a paid conversation, but I'm giving it to you for free because I'd rather you catch it before you close. So that one lives in your wallet. The next one moves into your house with you. Okay, remember those CUNA buyers I opened with? Well, this is the test that would have saved their Septembers. So in any home you're considering, I want you to stand in the backyard. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to breathe in through your nose and ask yourself, what do I smell? Now, if the answer is nothing, that's great, but it's just a starting point. So I want you to write that down as a data point. Now, if the answer is something else, maybe earthy, sweet, sour, dairy, fermenting, write all that down. Write what it smelled like, what direction the wind was coming from, and what month it is. And then check out the red zone map to see where the smell zones in the Treasure Valley are that nobody is warning you about. Now, in CUNA and Southern Nampa, they can get the irrigation flies that I mentioned about in late August and September. It's not always, but it is often enough that locals do plan around it. Now, homes near the sugar beet factory in Nampa can catch a distinct smell during the fall processing. You will know it when you smell it. And parts of the valley near dairy operations, especially south of Caldwell and toward Melba, can carry dairy odor on hot, windy days. The native secret: if a home is within a mile of any of these zones, please tour it twice. Once on a cool day and once on a hot day with the wind blowing. And if you can only tour it once, talk to the neighbors. Knock on a couple doors and just say, hey, I'm looking at the house across the street. Is there anything you can tell me about smells in the area or the flies in the yard come September? Neighbors will tell you things an agent can't. That is the honest truth. Okay, we're halfway home. The next three are the ones the HOA brochure is hiding from you. So, the yard is one thing, the street is another. A street can look completely empty at noon and become a parking lot by 3. Drive past the house during morning drop-off and drive past the house during afternoon pickup. Those are the 2 school bell windows in the valley. Now, this is not a comment on schools. School quality varies by individual schools and inside each district as well. Always pull the specific feeder pattern for any address before you decide anything. Now, this is a comment on traffic. If the house sits on a street that is a drop-off or pickup route for any elementary, middle, or high school within half a mile, that street is going to stack up for 15 minutes twice a day, 5 days a week, and 9 months a year. Work from home and take calls at 3, that will matter. Have a baby who naps at 3, again, that matters. Or you want to take your lunch and you want it quiet, again, that matters. So here's the test. Drive it. Drive both windows. And if you can't be there in person, pull the Google Street View and look for school zone signage, crossing guard infrastructure, or a visible school building within walking distance. And then ask your agent to confirm the feeder pattern on that specific street. So that's the street. Now we're gonna dive into the subdivision. This is what I call the HOA mailbox test. You're gonna stand at the subdivision entrance, look at the mailboxes, look at the entrance signage. You're gonna look at the landscaping. You can read an HOA in about 60 seconds if you know what you're looking at. Here is what to look for. Clean entrance sign, maintained landscaping, uniform mailboxes, and a subdivision named carved into stone. That is usually a great signal of a well-funded HOA with some tighter rules. Your dues will be higher, your equity protection will be higher, and your ability to paint your front door any color you want will be lower. Now, if you see the opposite, faded signage at the entrance, uneven landscaping, mailboxes in different styles, and there is no central signage at all, that usually signals a loose HOA or no HOA at all. Your dues will be lower, if any, and your freedom will be higher. But your neighbor is legally allowed to park an RV in their driveway for 6 months or longer. Now, neither is good or bad. You just have to know that they are different, and you need to know which one you are walking into. So here is the test. Before you write the offer, ask for the subdivision rules in writing. Those are called the CC&Rs. I want you to read them. Now, if you don't understand them, send them to me. Do not guess on HOA paperwork. Across this valley, HOA violations have stacked up into fines, forced remediation that have cost buyers thousands of dollars. Now, that's the street read. And the subdivision read. We have one more test to go. This one is the one you live with every night, and I call it the loudest sound test. Again, I want you to stand in the backyard. I want you to stand still for 30 seconds, say nothing. What is the loudest sound you can hear? If the answer is birds and wind, well, awesome. But if the answer is anything else, I want you to name it. Here is what to listen for. Train whistles. We do still have active freight rail running through Nampa, Caldwell, Boise, and parts of Meridian. If a house is within half a mile of an active line, you will hear the horn at 3 a.m. You'll get used to it, or you won't. Boise Airport Flight Pass is another one. The path shifts seasonally and wind dependent, but any home within the approach corridor catches overhead traffic. Now, I-84 and Highway 16 noise. These are not highway adjacent concerns. These are at least 3/4 of a mile concerns. Sound carries further than you think in the valley because of how flat it is. So here's the test. 30 seconds of silence. Name the loudest sound you hear. And if you're an out-of-state buyer who can't physically visit, you need to ask the listing agent to send a 30-second audio clip from the backyard on a weekday afternoon. Any agent worth their license will do it. If the listing agent refuses, well, that's some information to consider. All right, here's what I want you to do with all of this information. I want you to download the Red Zone map. The link is in the description. And I want you to book a free strategy call with me. That link is in the description as well. When you get on the Zoom, I want you to tell me 3 addresses on your short list. I will pull my notes on every one. And I will tell you which of the 7 tests matter most for that specific address. And when it makes sense, my team and I will drive out there, run them, and send you those results. I have a great team that supports me, and when you are deciding which house is right for your life, I am the one on that strategy. And I'll be the one standing in the backyard with the stopwatch running those tests. That is the backyard audit in practice. So let me leave you with this. Idaho is a beautiful place to live. I live here, I shop here, I drive the same roads, I sit in the same Tuesday afternoon traffic I just told you to go run, and I love this valley. I'm not going anywhere. But the MLS photos can lie. The inspection report can miss things. The house itself will tell you the truth if you know where to stand and what tests to run. Those CUNA buyers I opened with, they are not going to be you because you are the one who ran all the right tests. Whether you are moving here or have been here your whole life, you deserve to walk into this market knowing exactly what you are walking into. And that is the whole point of this channel. I'm Rachel with Good News Realty Group, and I simply will not let you be blindsided. So I'll see you in the next one.